everybody. There's the puppies, Blarney and Dublin. They want to be famous. Okay, today I'm just going to show you a few tips on applique. And for you, those of you noticed that on the last demo, I had no socks or protection on my feet. I do today, and I usually do. And I usually use my slippers, and then I take them off at the door so my threads don't get everywhere. So today we're safe. And we're not even using a cutter. Good grief. Okay, so I want to applique the eyes.
Appliqué. I love appliqué.
It's Mike's only word in quilting. And this is the bear quilt. You can see that it's progressing. It's actually going together pretty quick because they're fairly big pieces. It is a big quilt. It's 59 by 70 inches. This is the only part that has to be appliqued, and it's the eyes. So what I did is I took some scraps. So this is the background, and this is the eye. And so technically I'm appliquing the eye to the background fabric. So I want to pick a thread color that goes best with this. 60 weight thread, so that's a little bit lighter than 50 weight, what you typically use to piece with, is nicer for any kind of decorative stitching or satin stitch, buttonholes. Mine that I'm using today is 50 weight because that's the best color I have at home today. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to change my foot from my 97 foot, and I'm going to put my 20 foot on. My 20 foot is 20D. Whoop, doesn't stand on its own. And this is open toe applique foot. It's for differential feed and 9mm stitch width. There's a 20C foot for 9mm stitch machines, but no differential feed. And then there's a 20 foot for 5.5mm machines, which is what standard machines are. Like that's basic width, right? So I put my foot on, and with my machine, it's a 790. It does require me to change the foot. So I'm gonna tell my machine by selecting this little number sign, put in 20, and it starts giving me a few options. So 20, 20C, 20D I'm gonna put on. Okay. And I'm also gonna hook up my differential feed just because I do have it. And then I'm going to select a zigzag. So the zigzag is a standard width of 1.5 length and 3.6 width. I'm going to move my needle over, and you can see it will stop. It won't let me go any further because it would hit the foot when it did this side of the zigzag. I'm going to shorten this. Typically, a like a satin stitch is like probably about that tight, 0.3, and I don't want it that tight. I don't need a full zigzag satin stitch, mostly because I'm impatient. And I can even lower the width so it's not as visible on the eye. And that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start at a 3.1 width and a 0.45 length. And then I'm going to use my knee lift to control my foot going down, so I can hold this with both hands and get it lined up perfectly with that edge of the fabric. So see, I'm just running that edge of the fabric with the inside of my foot. And that's the benefit to using the open toe. I can see it, and I also can use my needle position to move it right over. If I didn't move my needle position over, I'm just going to clear this. You can see I'd be trying to put that right in the center, and then I'd probably be better off to use my one foot because it has a center mark. But I like using this foot because it's open and I can see the stitches and where I'm going. And then I can also move my needle over. So we're going to move my needle position over. And now we're going to try out this stitch and see if I like it. See, that's the standard, and we're going to go back to what I had it. I pressed the clear. So 3.1 and 0.45. Yeah, so when I press the clear, just to show you the needle position, it also clears my stitch length and stitch width. And those are the three things that clear will clear. It will not clear anything on your machine that's a safety feature. So if you had gone into your safety feature button here and told it that it had a straight stitch plate on or double needle, it will not clear that. It will only clear the needle position, the stitch length, and stitch width. And that's a safety feature so you don't accidentally clear it and then break a double needle or any needle. Okay, so now we're going to try this out and see how it looks. Now the nice thing about this, if I can tell that it's not too long, I can actually change this as I'm sewing. So I can make this longer. No, I don't like that. I'm going to make it tighter. And then I can also make it wider as I go. So now I'm making it narrower. Okay, let's see. So you can see where I tested it out and went, that's longer, and then I went wider and then narrower. So I'm actually gonna like this one, which is going to be 3.1. Actually gonna be 0.35 and not so wide, maybe 2.7. I have my tap on my foot set to cut the thread, so I'm not using the thread cutter there. I just find it easier. I can change that option too. So that's the one I'm going to use, actually. I like that. So if I really liked it, I could actually save it into my favorites. So I could just save it, open my hearts, my favorites, and I would save it in my file, and then it would be there. So actually don't care if I save it, because I actually on my machine will automatically save my last stitches to what I had. So there's my last one there, and then see, so that memory is actually permanent, saving my last I think it says the last 15 stitches I did and their settings. It has a temporary memory, so if I was close that. Okay, so if I went to straight stitch, I just wanted to quickly piece something I forgot, and then I went back to my zigzag. You can see my settings are still there, and they will be there on any Bernina machine until you turn the machine off. So that's a standard on any Bernina machine, which is super nice. The extra 15 stitches that sends permanent memory, that's on the 790 and up. Okay, so now let's sew an eye. So I'm going to put a little stabilizer on. I cut out the eye with the fabric that was in the kit. They require it to be 1.5 inches. By luck, the marathon thread, the bottom of it, is 1.5 inches. So that was my template for cutting out the eye. And then I glued it on just with a basting glue stick by Collins. I accidentally used my non-slip fingers, which is for machine quilting. If you didn't want to wear gloves, you could put this on and your fingers a little more grip to them. And I keep them in the same place, so I accidentally used this by mistake the first time, so it didn't work. I'm going to put it in a drawer where it's not by my glue stick, but in the cutting table. See, I'll make mistakes. My stabilizer is just, it's actually a little tearaway, so it's not that heavy. It's not stick on or anything, not iron on. It's just for the eye. It's not a big deal, but I do like to use it anytime that I'm doing decorative stitches or zigzags that they naturally tend to pull in, so it's just a good idea. especially if you get to a wider stitch. Not as important with a narrower stitch, but you know, who does a little stabilizer? Okay, the other thing I like to change, when I'm piecing, I have my needle stopping in the up position. And for this, I want my needle stopping in the down position. So I'm actually on my screen, there's a little picture with the needle and the fabric, and now I'm going to have it so the needle is going down below the fabric. So now it's going to stop in the down position all the time. I'm also going to grab a stiletto, and this is a Tula pink one. It's really sharp. Don't drop it on your toes. Did I tell them I was wearing safety protection today? Right, I did. Okay, so we start. And let's just see how it's going. Now the reason I have my needle stopping in the down position is when you need to move your fabric like this, you want it on the outside when you're doing applique. So you want it on the background fabric. So see, now I might want to stop and turn my fabric. So I'm just going to tap my machine one more time. So it's on the outside, and I'm going to turn my fabric. And then I'm going to continue on. So now I might want to adjust my fabric in it. Stop. There we go. Now, if you have patience to wash this all the way to the end, I'm going to show you something. Because if you notice at the beginning, I didn't do a securing stitch or go backwards. Sometimes it's hard to go backwards when you're doing applique right over where you were.
No kidding, eh?
Yes, Mike has that problem often. Mm-hmm. So, do you see how I stopped on the outside of the fabric? And then I'm just gonna turn my fabric. And turn my fabric. So this is actually raw edge applique. So I didn't turn in my fabric. There's no seam allowance on it. And so I do want a little bit tighter stitch because I'm sure this quilt will be well loved and well washed. Oh, and tap my foot to the other side. Turn. So done, folks. Not really. I just don't want you to leave. Okay, turn it again. As I'm getting closer to where I started, you can see my beginning thread there. I can't tell you where I learned this because I don't know. But I'm going to take this beginning thread and I'm going to tuck it in so I sew over it with my applique stitch, and that's going to secure it. So I'm not going to have to go worry about that. Then you can press your securing stitch on your machine, or you can just do a couple on the back now, which I'll just do a couple backwards, and then I'll cut my thread, and my eye is done. I'll just do a little trimming. There you go. So I know that it will wash up nice. It's actually going to go that way. Thanks, everybody. Bye.